We invest, as part of iTechCapital, we invest at different stages of startups, from early stage. We don't do seed, but what comes up to seed, to very late stage. And of course, things we're looking for in a startup are very different at a different stage. The most challenging one to analyze is the early stage one, and the reason it's challenging because really the only thing you're analyzing are people, and people are notoriously hard to predict. And there's no formula by which we determine if it's a good team or a bad team, but there are a number of things I think we generally look for. There are two types of entrepreneurs. There are ones that are extremely smooth in how they present, and there are the ones that are extremely terrible in how they present. In my experience, both things are bad. First one is bad because it's very hard to judge. The second one is bad because it's also very hard to judge, and it's very hard to differentiate between the surface, the cover of the book, and the book itself. And so what we're looking for is people who have point in the middle, who can express their ideas very clearly, but who can also have a granular understanding of what they're trying to do. Either because they have a track record of having done that before. It could be good track record or bad track record. In fact, bad track record is even more important than a good track record, because when somebody makes mistakes before, they're likely to know better as to where the rocks are going to be in the future. So I think at the end, at the earlier stage, I think at the end we're looking for the team that has shown that they have a granular understanding of the problem they're trying to solve, and they have a very clear way of how they're gonna solve it. But there are no formulas, unfortunately.
In Russia, what we don't actually have right here is a track record, because nobody looks at it, and actually there are practically no people over here working with a startup. There are no serial startups over here, so we actually cannot find anyone with a good track record.
Well, I would say when I say track record, I don't necessarily mean somebody who have done a startup before in the same sector. It could be track record in anything, but any track record of success in anything, gymnastics or swimming, whatever. But as long as somebody who has shown that they've known what it takes to succeed, right? And I think that's, and also, also somebody who have failed at that is also important, but that have tried to succeed as well. So track record in success doesn't have to be this very particular space there.
Whether the first thing when you want to raise money, you should go to the venture fund or to any fund, or is there any other way? Whether the fund money are cheap or the most expensive money? That's I think, like I was asked about it hundreds of times. What you should do before going to the fund?
So I guess I'm recently a venture capitalist, but I started out being an engineer and an entrepreneur, and I would generally recommend the last thing you want to do is try and raise money from a venture capitalist. And particularly, obviously if you have the opportunity to raise money, that decision framework may be different, but I think these days, one issue is you don't need as much money as you used to get businesses off the ground. And second is, it's generally, the odds are against you raising money from venture capital. But third, I just really feel like you can find alternative sources of capital much easier these days, and it's easy to build products for not much capital. Probably what's most important is not the amount of money you're raising, but the people that you're raising it from. And in those cases, I think having advisors and mentors is probably more important than the capital.